The question posed by the original Suikoden intro, "Is fate unchangeable?" is technically a moot point in English. While most people tend to use fate and destiny interchangeably in everyday speech, they are not actually the same. Fate is something that, by definition, cannot be avoided, and any attempt to escape it only leads you closer to it and is almost always negative or tragic. If your fate is to die on a certain day, then no matter what you do, you will die on that day. On the other hand, asking, "Is destiny unchangeable?" is also a non-question, because destiny, by its very nature, can be changed. In fact, it usually requires effort to achieve. Destiny can be something you're meant to fulfill, but you have to make it happen, or you can refuse it entirely. So, in essence, if it cannot be changed, it's fate. If it can, it's destiny. This is an interesting quirk and a limitation of the English language. In Japanese, the word unmei doesn't carry either connotation and means neither and both at the same time, landing somewhere in between the words. While this is not unique to the English language specifically, it is a bit of an outlier, and most languages use one word for both and let context decide the nature of it, making English slightly inflexible. Though for most people this has mostly become a distinction without a difference, and they will use either word in casual conversation, something that is probably best illustrated by the fact that even the localizers of the Suikoden games who work with the English language for a living seem to have been unaware of this. So for today, we're taking a look at some other instances where the localizers struggled with the concept of destiny. The way Leknot talks about destiny in the localization of Suikoden II is not consistent with the theme of Suikoden as a whole, as the localization keeps trying to make it out that destiny is fixed and unavoidable. What Leknot is actually saying in Japanese is that you have to shape your own destiny through your actions. This idea is made clear even in the original game's intro, where she says that even at your most powerless, your existence still has meaning. But the idea of destiny being something you can shape seems to be something the localizers struggled with. Both the original and the remaster either change her lines or, at the very least, fundamentally misunderstand what she's saying. When you first meet Leknot in the shrine, the English version has her say that you must attain the runes within in order to weave your destiny. But in Japanese, she simply says that to shape your destiny, you must first take it into your own hands. It, in this context, is obviously destiny again. In order to shape anything, you must first take hold of it. But this concept apparently confused the localizers to the point that they had to add a bit about the runes within. It's a fairly straightforward message, but apparently not to everyone. After you're deemed worthy by the rune of the beginning, the English version has her say you'll need it to fulfill your destiny, as if everything has already been foretold. But in Japanese, she says again that you need to shape your own destiny, but doing so will require the power of the rune. She's not saying your path is already written. This is a fundamental difference between the original and the localizations. When she later visits you again in Rock Axe, the localization again starts adding details that aren't there in the original. In English, she tells you that the rune will guide you to the final battle, and the outcome of that will create our future and our destiny, again making it seem like there's some sort of prophecy in place. There's no "our" in the Japanese text. She explicitly says "your." It's your future being created, and your choices in the final battle with Joey will decide your destiny. It's all about you. And once the final battle does take place in the true ending, the original localizers seem to have been very confused yet again. Once more, they added details not present in Japanese, as she states that your spirit, together with the 108 stars of destiny, has somehow called forth the power of the rune of the beginning, and this makes you strong. What she originally said was that your willpower, together with the will of the 108 stars, has overcome the will of the rune, and this makes you a very remarkable young man. It was you, with the help of the 108 stars, that shaped your destiny. At least this bit was somewhat fixed in the remaster, but the fundamental difference between the original and the localizations is, unfortunately, that originally Leknot is emphatic that you have the power to create your own destiny, while in the localizations, she harps on about how you need to fulfill it. The misconceptions about destiny continued into the next entry, though in fairness, it's more like it gets ignored to avoid having to talk about it too much. After defeating Luke at the ceremonial site, he laments that he was powerless to go against destiny, and the Flame Champion will be mad about him apparently trying to escape, which isn't really happening. But the localization is obsessed with making sure you understand he can't be allowed to get away with it and adds that line to all 3 possible Flame Champion speeches. Thing is, this is not present in Japanese at all. What they're actually doing is chastising him for reducing all the hard work that thousands of people came together to achieve, and dismissing their hard-won victory as just destiny, as if their sacrifices didn't matter. Again, the Japanese version is emphasizing that it was the actions of many people fighting for a common cause that stopped Luke, not destiny. And this is also repeated in the very last line of the game, spoken by Leknod, which is meant to be an echo of what she said in the intro of the original game, though this was completely lost on the localizers as the English text bears no resemblance to it at all. The Japanese phrase is almost a word-for-word repetition, slightly altered because she's specifically speaking to Luke this time. In the 4th game, when confronting Graham Cray, he states that the island nations exist only to fulfill the destiny of Kuluk, again adding a prophecy-like quality to the conflict. But this line does not appear in Japanese. He just says that the island nations are there for Kuluk to take and exist only to make Kuluk stronger. And when Leknot appears to tell you that the rune of punishment will enter its forgiveness phase, she says this is your destiny and the destinies of the 108 stars gathered around you. This is particularly strange because in Japanese she says it is because of the power of your will and the will of the 108 stars that this is happening, again emphasizing that it is your actions that have made this come to pass. By translating will as destiny, the localization changes the meaning significantly and fundamentally goes against the philosophy and worldview of the Suikoden series. You create your own destiny and your path is not predetermined, though she is rather bad at counting in both versions.